Hi, Jonathan Hedvat here with Bert Hochfeld, former hedge fund manager, beating the market almost every year, and also in 2008, #1 hedge fund, and this past year, averaging 40% returns, and the year before 44%. Bert, can you tell us what it's like to work at a hedge fund? Is it good, or starting a hedge fund? What's rewarding? What's not fun? Tell me your thoughts on the benefits of working in the hedge fund business.
I can dress like you do.
Oh,
You don't have to cut your hair. And you can wear jeans and t-shirt. Nobody will say much.
Hey, they can only see my shirt. I don't think they see my jeans.
Okay.
Glue my cover. All right, Bert, what do you think?
Well, I honestly think if you've got the stones, there's no better career for a young person. If your goal, unless you're a scientist and your goal is to develop a new technology or a new drug, but if you're a financial guy, there's nothing that will challenge your intelligence and your capabilities more than running a hedge fund. Okay.
What do you need to do to get a job at one or start one? What's needed?
It's easier to start one than it is to get a job, interestingly enough. But
why is that?
one of the things that is nice about hedge funds is they are one of the most completely meritocracy. Women, men, black, Asian. If you have green with pink stripes on your skin, if you know how to pick stocks, believe me, people will find you, and they will not care as to whether or not you speak English very well, or whether or not you know what pull-up stakes means, or something like that. I would say finding a job at a hedge fund, some of them recruit, a few of them recruit, but mainly it's a matter of networking and finding somebody who's already at a hedge fund who will recommend your bona fides, that you've been focused on investing since you were about 8 years old, and when other guys were off in the woods behind a house doing wild things, you were sitting poring over your PC and charting stocks.
Is that what you were doing?
I'm so old that there were no charts and there were no PCs, but yeah, I was very interested in that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, for the most part, a lot of hedge fund managers are sleazes. There's no question as to that. I've seen more than I care to in my life of that kind of conduct that I don't much appreciate. But one thing that most hedge fund managers are willing to do is support a guy with seed capital. And if you've built a track record where you work and you say, I want to go out on my own, it's very common for your boss to say, okay, I'll give you $5 million, but you got to raise $5 million on your own. And you can go to your contacts and do that. Mm-hmm. That's very common. They don't, like in many other businesses, they'd say, you're going to cut into the client base. That doesn't really happen so much.
Well, to start one, what do you need to do to start a hedge fund?
Well,
money-wise and regulatory-wise, and what does it what's needed. Do you need a CFA? I mean, I don't even know what.
No, you don't need a CFA. Not a bad thing to have, but you don't need one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody's paying you to be able to compute a net quick ratio.
They just care about your returns.
And your drawdowns.
Drawdowns is how you did month to month, Bert. You've been vocal about that kind of hurting the performance of some hedge funds. If you're always looking to minimize your losses each month, then you'll probably take not as good risk return bets, and it can hurt you in the long run.
So I would say that in terms of how much money it's going to cost you, your book is going to cost you probably $125K, the private placement memorandum.
That's to the SEC?
No, to your lawyer.
A lawyer's going to charge you $125,000 for the paperwork to start your fund, to be registered with the government.
Yeah, to write a private placement memorandum and to blue sky your fund in the states where you want to sell.
Okay, so if you're going to pay $125,000 in fees to start a fund, I would say your fund has to be at least $5 million to make it worth it at all, at a minimum.
Some people are willing to bet on the come, okay? But yes, I mean...
Can the $125,000 come from your investors, or they wouldn't like that, the founding?
No, you can't do that.
So you have to basically put it up yourself or get the money lent to you if you don't have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible that your investors could do that, but that's a separate transaction.
Okay, so I'm gonna get 10 investors. They're gonna pay $10,000 in for the memorandum, but then I'll deduct that from your later fees. Maybe not. Oh, okay.
I mean, you have to be. The SEC frowns on a lot of things. Okay, yeah. That would be one of them.
Yeah, I would just think, yeah. So
okay.
There's probably no way around that.
You have to register yourself. So you have to have good character and no violations on your record. You have to have, these days, very important, you have to have compliance capability so that you're not going to deal in inside information. I mean, this is not, you can't pass go without compliance nowadays. Mm-hmm. You can outsource it. You're going to have a third-party auditor who presents the results of your trading every month at least.
So what are the yearly fees at a minimum that you'll have to pay to run a hedge fund? Is it
You're going to have to pay an auditor, but that's going to be paid for by the LPs. You're going to have to pay yourself outsource. You have compliance, the cost of the Bloomberg terminal, almost for sure. Rent, okay. Usually, somehow or the other, even in this day and age, you can exchange that for trading volume.
So someone's going to subsidize these costs with you for trading a lot with them?
Yeah.
So you're saying if you do a lot of trading with Morgan Stanley, what are they going to do for you? Give you a kickback somehow? I mean, how does it work?
The word kickback is harsh.
Okay, a quid pro quo. I'm not sure what you call it.
The word kickback would not be
politically correct in the hedge fund industry.
I mean, they would say that if you at a certain tier of shares, we will offer you access to IT.
So Morgan Stanley will provide you magically with Bloomberg terminals and office space
Mm-hmm.
if you can trade a lot with them.
Yes,
That's legal?
it's not supposed to be, but you're asking me what happens, or are you asking me?
That's interesting. This is what you're going to learn from Bert Hochfeld School.
I mean, SEC says best execution is how you're supposed to decide who to trade with, but you know, who's going to monitor best? Who is standing in the door to say that Morgan Stanley is not providing you with best execution? I'm not going to. It happens, okay? I mean, it's part of the business. As you get larger, and the 2% or the 1.5% becomes more significant, you may or may not decide to continue those kinds of arrangements.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to share about benefits of working at a hedge fund and how it works?
Well, I mean, the benefit of working at a hedge fund is that you can make unlimited sums of money, more so than anything else, unless you invent something. I mean, if you invent Airbnb or Uber or whatever, you can make a lot of money, but there are far more hedge fund billionaires than
Tech startup successes.
tech. I mean, you know, and the thing about failing in a hedge fund is somebody will, the odds are very high that if your hedge fund fails, you can find employment at another one.
Okay, thank you very much, Bert.